Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We are sitting here talking about all of the big news of professional wrestling. Went to sleep last night watching the Dudley's documentary, thinking that I was going to be making a video about Paige this morning and her quitting WWE. The report is that basically she turned in her notice. She's hiring legal representation and will be trying to find a way to get out of her no-compete clause, which is inside of her contract. Where she goes from here, she could easily go to Ring of Honor, be a part of the Women of Honor product that they're running right now, and hopefully help them secure a television deal, or maybe just make that division bigger with her name and be able to, get it on actual Ring of Honor television. And just instead of it being like a side project of Ring of Honor, just make it, a real deal. She could go to TNA. She could wrestle for all the indies across the world, have fun again, make some money. Definitely that, her name being on the indies is going to bring in some big dollars for the next year, maybe even 2 years, probably even make more money than she was making in WWE. You go back to when AJ Styles left TNA and he was working the indie circuit, that he was cleaning up tons of money, he said, was living large, I guess you can say. But now the word has come out today, basically, that Alberto Del Rio has been given his release from WWE, and he's no longer going to be with the company. Looking back on it now, you would think, man, what would have happened if Del Rio would have only signed a one-night deal? It's basically all they really signed him for. He came in at Hell in a Cell. He was a surprise. He beat John Cena in the United States Open Challenge, and really just treaded water while Cena was off making his television show, waiting for Cena to come back. But he had his matches against Kalisto. Then, of course, he was in the League of Nations. Never really got going. I mean, it was a big money sweetheart deal. Come back to the company. We need a big Mexican star. They've been looking for this ever since Rey Mysterio left, and they're desperate. And they didn't even get to go on a Mexico tour with Del Rio, so they're going to be looking for that name sooner than later. So it's a big surprise that these two are out there on their own. Definitely with the draft. And sort of splitting up the rosters. I know that they were on separate rosters. I think Del Rio's on SmackDown and Paige is on Raw. But, definitely when you look at the women's division, I know that the Raw team has Charlotte and it has Sasha Banks. It has Bayley. It's got 3 girls that seem like they're in the driver's seat that are ahead of Paige. But if you look over at the SmackDown division, and I know that some people say that they didn't want them together as a couple, so that's why they put them on different brands to try and break them up. Think of how valuable Paige would have been on the SmackDown side with, Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, I think Alexa Bliss. Shoot, I'm trying to think of the chick's name that used to be with Zone Kaz, and I can't remember her name to save my life right now. But there's not many women over in the women's division over there. I mean, Paige really could be blowing it up, having good matches, wrestling on the wrestling show SmackDown, and that'd be it. But now Del Rio and Paige are both leaving. It's not going to be hard for Del Rio to find work. I don't think that he really cut any ties down in Mexico. Of course, he's a huge star, not only because of who he is and what he meant in WWE, but because of who his father is there. But we'll have to see, what the future holds. Definitely, I can see Ring of Honor bringing in Del Rio. With him being there, you would think that Paige would come in, and then you'd have great matches against all the women that wrestle for Women of Honor. That would work. There's word about TNA bringing in Cody Rhodes. Do they have enough money left over for TNA to bring in Alberto Del Rio? They've been looking at bringing him in for a really, really long time. But there's no real set line about what's going to happen. Lucha Underground, I'm sure they would love to have Del Rio back. I don't really know what it was like when he left. I know that he was upset that he wasn't in the main event. of the last show that he was on, and he really politicked to get it, and he ended up not getting it. I don't know if that played a factor in him leaving and going back to WWE, but I know that when they did the last set of tapings, they really taped really far in ahead. So, I mean, if Del Rio really was to sign or even want to go back to Lucha Underground, I think that they've filmed 2 seasons already. So, I mean, maybe they would film it, but it wouldn't be shown for such a long time. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot more to come out of this story. Of course, with Paige, the last person to really quit WWE was CM Punk, and he has the big fight this weekend with UFC. We all saw how that fight went down, where basically it was a legal battle for a few months, and then finally WWE just sort of gave in and released him. So we'll have to see if they, accept Paige's resignation, just as a way of cutting a contract out of the women's division that they're not really using, or they want to hold on to her for the fact that she sells a lot of shirts, and like Pinko bought the Paige gloves and things like that. But we'll have to see what goes on. I'll see you guys down the road. Peace out, everybody.